Hi everyone, we're making this video today to discuss the strategies that will aid you in being an effective, unbiased helper.
Sometimes, as a helper, we may come across a client that is different than us. By the word different, I mean that they can differ in their cultural values, beliefs, gender, age, and more.
With that being said, it is extremely important to develop skills that will prevent these differences from interfering with the helping relationship in a negative way.
For this video, we will be discussing helper-client interactions where the client is either of a different cultural background, a different gender, and where the client is a child.
First, let's talk about helping someone who is culturally different. It's really important to be culturally competent as a counselor. Being culturally competent requires learning about the client's acculturation, aka knowing to what extent your client's culture is of importance to them.
One way to become more culturally competent is by immersing yourself in another tradition by living for some time in that cultural atmosphere. This can be done through traveling, reading, and overall educating yourself on the culture.
Specific skills to adapt can be tailoring your approach to the client and broaching. Tailoring your treatment to include elements of the client's culture sometimes means taking a proven intervention, such as cognitive behavioral therapy, and customizing it for a particular cultural group.
Broaching is the skill of continually talking about obvious differences with the client. For example, in the assessment stage, the helper might say to the client, "My background is Jewish, my parents are both religious, you are Muslim. What do you think about getting help from someone whose background is quite different from yours?"
As you can see, broaching is an invitation to discuss cultural differences, and it also paves the way for the client to discuss the role of their culture in the therapeutic relationship. Now that we've covered that, let's move on to how differences in gender can affect the relationship.
Being reflective is a good way to overcome misunderstandings when they occur. Ways to be reflective include using a journal, participating in group discussions, and consulting a supervisor.
In addition to reflection, you can also address gender in the assessment process to understand the importance the client places on gender identity. So, for example, you could also use broaching here too. You can say, "I am a woman and you're a man. I wonder what you think about getting help from a woman."
It also can't hurt to utilize supervision to discover your attitudes about a client that may be the result of your own gender socialization. Moving on, let's finally discuss skills for helping a child. When it comes to children, it's important to have a developmentally appropriate approach because we cannot assume they are cognitively identical to adults.
The way you would use a skill for an adult client is not necessarily how you'll use it for a child. For example, when you're using invitational skills, such as eye contact and minimal encouragers, you can meet the child at their physical level and say something along the lines of, "Would you like to skip or walk to the playground?"
Or, when it comes to challenging skills, you can use limit setting when the child does something outside the acceptable limits, such as breaking a toy or hurting themselves.
With this, you can use the ACT model, meaning A, acknowledge the feeling, C, communicate the limit, and T, target alternatives. For example, you can say, "You feel angry and want to hit the doll, but the doll's not for breaking. Here's a wooden block you can choose to hit, or you can hit this bag."
Limit setting challenges the child's desire to respond using their old behaviors.
I think we've covered everything for today. We hope you learned something and enjoyed. Have a good one.